was to many firsts that took place with the inauguration of the 46th President of America, who took office amid the COVID crisis. Yes, Joe Biden has become the oldest president of the United States of America, and Kamala Harris, the first person of Indian African origin and the first woman Vice President of America. So let's take a look at what Biden administration might look like, what he did in his first day in office, or to be precise, what he undid.
The dream of justice for all will be deferred no longer.
A beautiful inauguration with the right mix of color and diversity at display.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Shortly after taking office, the new president, Joe Biden, took immediate steps to roll back some key Trump-era policies which he had promised to do while campaigning for the job.
What I'm going to be doing, I'm proud with today's executive actions. I'm going to start by keeping the promises I made to the American people. Long way to go. These are just executive actions. They are important, but we're going to need legislation for a lot of the things we're going to do. And the first order I'm going to be signing here relates to COVID, and it's requiring, as I said all along, where I have authority, mandating masks be worn, social distancing be kept on federal property, on interstate commerce, etc. So this is the first one I'm signing. And the second one I'm signing here is the support for underserved communities, and we're going to make sure we have some bedrock equity, equality as relates to how we treat people on health care and other things. And we'll give you copies of these executive orders. And the third one I'm going to sign, and that's what I'm going to do while you're all here, is the commitment I made that we're going to rejoin the Paris Climate Accord as of today.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
Biden's agenda ever since he announced his presidency was to make COVID response a priority. He moved to finalize a mandate to wear masks and practice social distancing on all federal government property, and urged Americans to mask up for 100 days. He also halted the process of the US withdrawing from World Health Organization, a move initiated by his predecessor, Donald Trump.
President Biden is wasting no time. He said, I have no time to waste. He's got to work. It was not even his first full day at work, but he got to work. He's already signed a slew of executive orders reversing some of the Trump-era policies and agendas and acts that he had set.
The Biden administration is looking at a whopping $1.3 trillion coronavirus relief package that includes more support for vaccine administration and testing, as well as help to small businesses and unemployed people. President Biden signed an order to rejoin the Paris Climate Accord, a global pact to reduce carbon emissions, which US pulled out from in 2017 under the Trump administration.
Secretary General warmly welcomed President Biden's steps to re-enter the Paris Agreement on climate change and join the growing coalition of governments, cities, states, businesses, and people taking ambitious action to confront the climate crisis.
On immigration and racial equality, Biden stopped funding for the border wall with Mexico, undoing another signature policy of his predecessor, and also rescinded his travel ban on 7 Muslim-majority countries. Among a total of 17 executive orders issued on day one were also ones on racial equality and LGBT rights.
Biden has been pretty clear about what the focus of his conversations are and what his intention is with his engagements with leaders from both sides of the aisle and in both houses of Congress.
While only few countries embraced Donald Trump the way India did and saw favorable stance of Trump on hardline Islamist extremism, his non-interference in India's internal issues like the CAA and Article 370 that might change with the Biden-Harris administration.
Under President Bush, we secured a peaceful nuclear cooperation agreement with India. Then Senator Biden led the efforts at this committee to get that through Congress. And then I think during the Obama administration, we deepened cooperation with India, particularly in the defense procurement area, also on information sharing. And I think the Trump administration has carried that forward, including with this concept of an Indo-Pacific, and to make sure that we were working with India so that no country in the region, including China, could challenge its sovereignty.
Foreign policy is a continuum when it comes to Indo-US relations. President Biden has long been a proponent of good bilateral relations with India. But the biggest challenge lies where China and Iran are concerned. It would be a litmus test for the first 100 days of Biden administration in the Oval Office.
Looking at Indo-US ties, the White House has clearly specified that with Kamala Harris as vice president, relations between the two countries are going to strengthen further. Speaking at a daily briefing, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki said that US President Joe Biden respects the long, bipartisan, successful relationship between the two countries and looks forward to the continuation of that. And in Spotlight this week, we have an exclusive conversation with Nisha Biswal, the president of US-India Business Council, who also was an important person and an official in the Obama administration serving in the State Department. She spoke exclusively to India Today and spelled out what the decisions and discussions could be between India and the United States of America with Joe Biden and Prime Minister Narendra Modi at the helm of. We know President Biden is going to begin his administration by focusing his energies on how to handle the pandemic. How do you see the United States of America play an important role, not just in handling the pandemic, but also in the economic resurgence of the worldwide?
You are right about the challenges that this administration is going to be facing. The pandemic has, been just such a catastrophic crisis here in the United States and around the world. We need to work with the global community, with the WHO, and with our partners around the world to make sure that we're able to beat it back globally. India will be a very important part of that. And in order to have the economic recovery that we need here in the United States and around the world, we have to tackle the pandemic. And then we have to tackle how we reopen our economy, how we address and jumpstart, trade and investment, boost manufacturing, and particularly invest in infrastructure that will help modernize our economy. And it is not dissimilar to the agenda that India faces as well, as it looks to come out of the COVID-induced economic coma and really focus on the growth opportunities in the year and years ahead.
A lot of countries are using this vaccine diplomacy to leverage their own foreign policy interests. How do you see that pan out or play out when you see China dealing with the African nations on the vaccine front?
Look, I think that on the vaccine front, we're going to need to reach across all sides of the global spectrum to leverage and engage and deploy vaccines as effectively as possible. India is a powerhouse in the pharmaceutical space and is going to play a critical role in the production of quantities of various vaccines that can be deployed not only within its own borders, but as India has already begun to do, engage with other countries. And I think the US and India working together and working with the WHO are going to play a key role.
Will there be any forward movement on the trade front? We know that there have been problems, niggling issues, areas of discomfort between the two countries, and Trump administration clearly couldn't crack it. Do you think the Biden administration would be able to manage some sort of a deal with India on the trade front? And what are the areas of concern for the United States of America?
Well, first of all, let me say trade between any two countries is always going to be one of the most challenging aspects of the bilateral relationship. And, as trade gets more consequential, it does get more contentious. The U.S.-India two-way trade and investment has continued to become more and more consequential for both countries. We're now at nearly $150 billion in two-way trade and investment. And poised to go much, much higher. In democracies in particular, negotiating trade agreements is particularly politically sensitive. And we've seen that in the way in which both the Indian public and therefore Indian political leaders and the US public and US political leaders have reacted to that. That said, I think it's incumbent upon the leadership in both countries to really work hard to eke out a stronger trade architecture. First and foremost, we need to get this mini deal done. Some of the thorny issues that have been preventing that, I think, are going to be addressed from the Indian side. India has looked to see 232 tariffs removed. They have looked to see GSP restored. They have, expressed a great deal of concern about the H-1B immigration policies and the impact on Indian companies. All of those are issues that I think are likely to be addressed in quick order by an incoming Biden administration that has a very different approach on trade and tariffs and on engaging with partners and allies. India had, I think, been very much amenable to eking out compromises on the price control policies on medical devices and pharmaceuticals. They had expressed a desire to compromise on ICT tariffs and other issues. And so we should be able to get at least the mini deal out of the way so we can then start to think about a larger agreement.
On that note, thank you so much for joining us here on India Today. That's the President of USIBC, Nisha Biswal, speaking exclusively to India Today. Welcome back to World Today. Before we take you through other big stories of the week, let's take a look at some of the stories that did the rounds from across the globe in World at a Glance.
Tens of thousands of people demonstrated in Nepal on 22nd January in a new protest against Prime Minister Khagda Prasad Oli. They were angered by his decision last month to dissolve parliament and order new elections as part of an escalating feud within the governing Communist Party. Supporters of a splinter group in the party marched peacefully in the center of Kathmandu, demanding reinstatement of the parliament. A large explosion killed 4 people, injuring several others, and destroyed most part of a building in the Spanish capital of Madrid on 20th January. The explosion was apparently caused by a gas leak. It ripped the facade of a residential building. Top 3 floors of the building was completely destroyed, while damaging the remaining floors. Twin suicide bombings ripped through a busy market in the Iraqi capital Baghdad on 21st January. The blast killed at least 28 people and 73 others were wounded. The attack hit the Bab al-Sharqi commercial area in central Baghdad amid heightened political tensions over planned early elections and a severe economic crisis. No one immediately took responsibility for the attack, but Iraqi military officials said it was the work of the Islamic State group. Chinese billionaire Jack Ma, who made headlines for missing, has resurfaced. His absence from public view spurred speculations about his whereabouts. He hosted an online event on 21st January to address teachers supported by his foundation. Internet giant Google threatened to make its search engine unavailable in Australia if the government went ahead with plans to make tech giant pay for news content. The new law proposed by the government aims to make Google and Facebook pay Australian media companies fairly for using news content they siphon from news sites. Facebook also opposes the rules and has threatened to remove news stories from its site in Australia.
Vladimir Putin, the man who has a sheer power over Russia today, has his reputation in danger. With his main rival and challenger Alexey Navalny's return to Moscow and his immediate arrest after releasing of his viral probe, which he calls Putin's palace, it seems like there is a lot to look out for in this Russian feud.
Сколько в итоге стоит дворец Путина под Геленджиком?
On the 19th of January, Kremlin critic Alexey Navalny's team released a 2-hour video investigation probe on a Russian estate, which they call Putin's palace.
Вообще все. Ободрали стены, ободрали мрамор.
In the video, Navalny explained about the vast property which he alleges is funded by an elaborate corruption scheme involving Russian President Vladimir Putin's inner circle.
Увидеть все в деталях, решили переделать все.
This video was released 2 days after Navalny got arrested, right after he landed in Moscow.
Удачи, Алексей! Мы с вами!
Это не загородный дом, не дача, не резиденция. Это целый город, а скорее королевство. Здесь неприступные заборы, свой порт, собственная охрана, церковь, свой пропускной пункт, бесполетная зона и даже собственный погранпункт. Это прямо отдельное государство внутри России.
Soon after Navalny's arrest, major European Union nations condemned this incident and have made calls for the immediate release of the Kremlin critic.
First, allow me to recall that there was a strong European condemnation of the arrest of Mr. Navalny when he came back to Moscow yesterday. The representatives of the EU, the President of the Commission, the President of the European Council, the High Representative were very clear that we are calling for immediate release of Mr. Navalny and that the politicization of the judiciary and detention of political opponents is unacceptable, and it goes contrary to Russia's international obligations. So this really needs to stop.
This is the first time since last year that Navalny has returned to his home country after he was poisoned with a Novichok nerve agent while he was on a flight from Tomsk to Moscow. Hundreds of his fans have also come out on the streets for his release. Navalny is currently on trial for defamation, a charge that was made last year when he took to his social media handle to criticize a video released by the Russian government where they proposed to extend Putin's term as president till 2036.
After much negotiations, the Chinese administration finally came to terms with the World Health Organization and allowed a team to go to Wuhan to research on the origins of the virus that has infected more than 96 million people worldwide. While the origins of the virus might have come from China, it is China that has fared much better than any other country in the world when it comes to economic recovery. Last year, China saw a 2.3% increase in its GDP, while many other countries are still trying to cope with this economic disaster.
A year after the spread of the global pandemic, on 14th of January, a team of WHO experts arrived at the Chinese city of Wuhan. It was identified as the epicenter of the novel coronavirus. The WHO team is at Wuhan to detect the research and origin and spread of the coronavirus. It has now gone back to its bustling nature in complete contradiction of the lockdown seclusions of last January.
From the beginning of this pandemic, WHO was interested to understand how the virus got into human population and what's the source of the virus. So we have already sent a team this summer to prepare this bigger international team of experts to see really if we can advance our knowledge into where the virus really got from and how it got into human population. The team will look into different aspects of the early days of the pandemic. We start in Wuhan because this is where the first cases were detected.
中方将严格遵循相关的防疫规定和要求，为世卫专家来华开展溯源国际合作提供相应支持和便利。
While the virus might have originated from Wuhan, but things have almost come back to normal in China, whereas the condition has worsened in the rest of the world. As the entire world suffers from recession and economic crisis, China is the only major country which has seen an increase in their GDP in the pandemic year, with a 2.3% increment.
面对国内外严峻复杂的形势和新冠肺炎疫情的严重冲击，我国的外贸进出口是明显好于预期。我国成为全球唯一实现货物贸易正增长的主要经济体，这充分体现了我国外贸的强大韧性和综合竞争力。
China has also been one of the largest exporters of COVID protective goods in the global market. The economic growth of China has beaten expectations as their foreign trade has boosted up a surplus of $535 billion this financial year.
That's all in this week's edition of World Today. Before I go, I'll leave you with these visuals of Italy's largest active volcanoes, Mount Etna, exploding and leaving visuals of these beautiful orange lava flowing down the slopes. The lava flowed into an uninhabited valley while some ash blew over some of the nearby towns. The volcano continued to be active on Tuesday as well. Etna is a popular tourist destination attracting hikers eager to see the extraordinary lava flows glowing orange at night. Enjoy the visuals, take care and goodbye.
Hi everyone, Preeti Chaudhary here. Hope you like this video. For latest news and analysis, like and subscribe to the India Today YouTube channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated. Thank you for watching.